One of the things I heard Paul Offit say that really resonated with me, Paul Offit is one of the guys who's always debunking the anti-vaccination claims and all that ridiculousness the anti-vaxxers say, and he's written several books and whatnot. Is one he said in one of his lectures was he talked about in discourse, especially in public discourse, especially as portrayed by the media, there's really three characters in every one of these debates and whatnot. You have the victim, you have the hero, and you have the villain. Now, if you notice, and you're someone of a skeptical mindset and championing science and intellectual honesty and believing things because they have good evidence, right? And making sure that you don't use fallacy like, oh, it's old, therefore it works, and all that nonsense that people use. You may be surprised that you're constantly being positioned or being viewed upon by believers in these things as being negative or angry, and you always hear these types of things. Why are you so angry? Why are you just trying to bring everybody down and all this kind of stuff? And you go, wait a minute here. You know what I mean? I'm not the arrogant one. They're the arrogant ones. They're plugging in their belief, unjustified belief, and instead of genuine scientific ignorance, they're making claims with no evidence. So everything gets flipped on you. You may think, how is this? Well, he brought up a great point. Let's say we're talking about some sort of pseudoscientific alternative medical practice, right? Alternative medicine practice. And we have the victim. This is the person who's in pain or whatever. And then they've gone to this practice. That is the hero because, hey, I see these people get better. Now, we know there's a lot of anecdotal testimony is not very reliable. There's a lot of reasons why someone can get better. For instance, cancer, goes into remission, right? So, okay, they do an alternative practice. Their cancer goes into remission, so they're now testing that remission to the alternative practice. All right, so the alternative person is now the hero because the person was victim and now they were the hero. Well, what position does that leave the skeptic, the person who's going to come in there and say, well, probably wasn't your special alternative intervention that we've shown is demonstrably false or has never been tested properly and is very unlikely to be true because it would overturn everything we know about biology or physio, whatever. What position does that leave you in? It leaves you as the villain. As Paul Offit said, you're just the person there to say no and call everybody delusional or at least insinuate that. So it's a bad spot to be in, and we just dive right into it because when we have these practitioners talking about how much success they've had, they're positioning themselves as the hero, right? And by positioning yourselves as the hero, all their clients and patients are obviously the victims if they are the hero too. What position does that leave the skeptic in? The villain position. So of course we're viewed as that way by people because the problem is we're just quick to take away things but we're not adding things, which I credit my friend Jason Silvernail for just telling me actually in a Facebook message just before I'm doing this video and bringing it to you. He said, we need to do a better job of adding things, right? So in a situation like that, we're far more productive to not just say, hey, you're wrong, but add why we need to be careful about these types of claims and these thoughts. Start to talk about social psychology and cognitive bias and teach these people how we can easily be swayed and easily be duped by ourselves and how bad we are at judging the evidence of our own experience. Teach how to critical think a little bit better. Empower them with the ability to use the same processes, the skeptical critical thinking processes that you do, and understand what drew you to those processes. You learned the fallibility of your everyday reason. So then you say, well, what's the alternative? The alternative is something that seeks to control for some of those biases and self-deceptions and whatnot, and that's science, right? But we're skipping ahead and we're just going right there and just saying, no, you're wrong, everybody's delusional. So we want to start adding in things. That's certainly what I've been trying to do with some of my posts and some of these videos and future posts and articles and whatnot, is to empower people to understand what's going on in my head and in the heads of other skeptics, and that we're not negative, and in fact, we're very concerned. We're looking at consumer protection and consumer education. We got to do a better job of that. Otherwise, we're always going to position ourselves as the villains, And when we jump in these types of debates, man, we fill that role because it's the only role left for us to fill. We got to stop doing that.